everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got another STAMPtember exclusive. This one is from SugarPea Designs and it is called Nordic Village. I think this is the cutest little set and I decided to get a little advanced for me and do some masking and some Copic coloring. And while I am not the world's most accomplished Copic marker user, I think it turned out pretty darn cute. So let's take a look at the products. This Nordic Village stamp set is really sweet. All the cute little houses and the trees and little tiny details. I just think there is so much potential for this set, and not just for Christmas, but for really any time of the year. I've got a couple inks, some Memento and some Gina K, a little embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp, and some masking paper because I am going to be doing some stamping and masking. And I've also got a bevy of markers. Here they all are, and I will list everything below if you are interested in the colors that I'm using. Now I'm going to link above to a video that I recently watched from Christina Werner, who is amazingly talented, and she is my friend. But I learned from watching her video how to create a map for your stamping and masking, which is exactly what I am going to do before I really start to stamp. The idea is to take a piece of scrap paper, and this scrap paper is the same size as just a regular 5.5 by 4.25 panel, and lay out where you want your elements to appear. So I'm using my Misty Creative Corner as well. This thing is cool because I can pop it in, and every single time I place it, I can line up what I am stamping on the tool. I'm working my way through here and stamping and overlapping all of the elements so that I have a map to follow when it is time to stamp on my actual cardstock. Next, I'm going to make some masks, and all I'm going to do is use an acrylic block here. I don't need to use a Misty for this step to stamp out the houses that I'm going to use as masks. And I'm putting it at the bottom of my masking paper and then trimming it out because the masking paper is like gold. I don't waste. Waste not, want not. Now I'll cut everything off camera, place my piece back in to get the placement for my first house, and then I'm going to bring in my Neenah Solar White cardstock. This is the 110 pound. And I know that if I place it in the same position as my map, that my first stamp is going to be exactly where I want it to be. So I can ink and press, and voila. And now I will bring in mask number 1. And you can see at the bottom, I didn't even have to trim it out at the bottom. I just needed to make sure that the bulk of the house was masked off. And now I can place in the other 2 houses. One of them will overlap the mask and one of them is off to the side. And again, I just keep that little map off to the side so I know where to stamp. Gonna stamp these down, give it some nice pressure, especially the one over the mask so that it stamps really well. And I will mask off the other small house. Now I'm placing the second house from the left. I could have done the tree at the same time too, but I'm not always ahead of the game like that, so I did the tree separately. But all of the masks are coming off now, and you can see the result. It just makes it look like things are tucked behind other things, and therein lies the beauty of masking. Thanks, Christina. Next, I want to share my Copic marker chart, and I'll also link to the video that I did recently featuring putting this thing together. It's still in progress, but this is helping me choose colors with, I think, a little more efficiency. So I bring this thing out when I say, what color should my tree be? And that's how I choose. I'm going to speed this way up because I think this is at 800%. I go so slow when I am coloring. Part of my problem with Copic coloring is I have a new prescription that I haven't had filled yet. It's almost like when I'm putting makeup on, this is a crapshoot. Sometimes I can't really see what I'm doing. I am going to get a much more high-powered prescription for my, my lovely bifocal. But I'm doing the best that I can, and here's what I'm learning about Copic markers. Some colors definitely blend together better than others. These blues, for example, I thought these looked really good. Like the blend at the bottom was exactly what I had hoped for, and I thought, hey, Kat, that's pretty darn good. And what I try to do, and I'm not super consistent on this, but I have a little notebook. It's actually a little traveler's notebook, and I make notes about things that work. Now here's another thing that I love, the colorless blender. If you're new and you don't have one, you should have one, because what it helps you to do, if you color outside your lines, you can push that color back in. All right. To add that extra shading, I didn't use a different color on the roof. I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go over it again with the same color. Now here's where it got a little crazy. This is not a blend that looks all that good to my eye. I thought it was going to blend better based on my little swatch chart. But when I was done, I realized, you know what this actually looks like? There are houses where I live in the upper Midwest in Minnesota where people do this sort of curvy stucco pattern on the base of their stucco homes. So I kind of feel like it turned out looking like that. So maybe not the best blend, but I achieved a result that I wasn't even aiming for. The next house is pink and the last house is gray because I just felt at this point I was using too many markers and I needed to be done. For the windows, one yellow, straight up, no shading. And that's it. I actually think it turned out pretty well. So now I'm going to cut my panel out using a die from Waffle Flower Crafts. This is probably one of my favorite sets of the year because it lets you cut perfect panels. I'll put it back in my MISTI, get that creative corner out again to stamp both the sentiment and the little star from the set. Going to powder this up really well with my Embossing Magic because I don't want my powder sticking anywhere except where I'm stamping. Going to give that nice light pressure. I actually went a little heavy-handed on the star, and you'll kind of see that when the powder goes on, but live and learn. It's all working still. But I'm putting on this Simon powder. This is antique gold, and I really like it because it's a very warm gold, but that looked pretty good. The star was a little heavy. I'm bringing my heat tool nice and hot to the paper and melting the powder until it is smooth and shiny. Very simple, but I thought that was just a nice warm gold touch for a simple sentiment and the star. Now, this is a little warped, and if you have this problem, which will happen, this is what I do. I will take some clean, lightweight paper. This is like a 20-pound paper, and I just put that in my die cutting machine between the plates and run it back and forth a few times. Now I've got some Simon Says Stamp cotton candy for my card base. I always like to tape them closed because it's such sturdy cardstock that I do not want it to pop up while I am adhering my panel. So I've got some foam tape on the back. This also helps to straighten out your project. And now I'm just going to line it up with that beautiful pink margin. And there you go. I love pink and these kinds of colors for holiday cards. I think they're fun and fresh, and there's no rule that says they all have to be green and red. And that's it. A very simple project. I do wish it was just down a tiny bit, but that's just my eye. I don't think anyone's going to complain. I'm also not going to be mass producing these for the holidays because then I think 3 people would get cards. But check out this set, Nordic Village. You know how STAMPtember exclusives work. When they are gone, baby, they're gone. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again with another card project soon.